A familiar name, Cory Bowman, enters the political arena. Cincinnati, Ohio, a city steeped in history and tradition, finds itself at the heart of an intriguing political narrative. Cory Bowman, a name unfamiliar to the political circuit, has thrown his hat into the ring for the upcoming mayoral election. Bowman, however, is not entirely unknown. He is the half-brother of J.D. Vance, the current vice president and a figure who has cast a long shadow on American politics. Bowman's background is a tapestry woven from threads of faith and entrepreneurship. An evangelical pastor, he leads a modest congregation at the River Church in Cincinnati's West End. His entrepreneurial spirit finds expression in King's Arms Coffee Shop, a local haunt where the aroma of freshly brewed coffee blends with the murmur of conversations. This foray into politics marks a significant departure for Bowman. He is a newcomer to the world of political campaigns, debates, and the relentless scrutiny that accompanies public office. His decision to run for mayor stems from a deeply personal conviction, a belief that he can be an agent of change in a city grappling with its own set of challenges. His campaign, however, has not been without its share of controversy. Critics argue that his platform lacks substance, a mere echo of his brother's populist rhetoric. Others question his readiness for the demands of public office, pointing to his lack of experience in the political arena. Despite the skepticism, Bowman remains undeterred, his eyes fixed on the mayor's seat, a prize that represents the hopes and aspirations of a city at a crossroads. Echoes of the past, family ties, and political ambitions. Cory Bowman's entry into politics inevitably draws comparisons to other instances where family ties have intertwined with political ambitions. The annals of American history are replete with examples of political dynasties, families whose names have become synonymous with power and influence. The Kennedys, the Bushes, the Clintons. These names evoke a sense of familiarity, a legacy passed down through generations. However, the path to political success is rarely paved with family connections alone. For every successful scion of a political dynasty, there are countless others who have stumbled in the shadow of their illustrious relatives. The weight of expectation, the pressure to live up to a family name, can often prove to be insurmountable hurdles. Some have argued that Cory Bowman's candidacy is an attempt to capitalize on his half-brother's political capital. They point to his appearances on conservative media outlets, his embrace of issues close to J.D. Vance's heart, as evidence of a calculated strategy to ride the coattails of a more established political figure. Bowman, however, has been quick to dismiss such claims. He insists that his decision to run for mayor is driven by a genuine desire to serve the people of Cincinnati, to address the issues that matter most to them. Only time will tell whether Cory Bowman can emerge from the shadow of his half-brother and forge his own path in the complex world of politics. Impulse campaigning, national spotlight over local engagement. Cory Bowman's campaign has been met with a mixture of curiosity and skepticism. His sudden emergence on the political scene, coupled with his familial connection to a prominent national figure, has generated a buzz that extends far beyond the confines of Cincinnati. However, critics have been quick to point out that Bowman's campaign seems more focused on garnering national media attention than on addressing the pressing issues facing the city. Political analysts have labeled Bowman's approach as impulse campaigning, characterized by a reliance on fleeting moments of media exposure rather than a sustained engagement with local communities. Bowman's frequent appearances on conservative news outlets, where he often echoes the populist rhetoric of his half-brother, have done little to assuage these concerns. While Bowman has outlined a broad vision for Cincinnati, his critics argue that his policy positions lack specificity and detail. His campaign website, for instance, offers little in the way of concrete plans to address issues such as crime, poverty, and infrastructure. The lack of a clearly defined policy platform, coupled with Bowman's limited experience in public service, has led some to question his readiness for the demands of the mayor's office. They argue that running a city requires more than just good intentions and a famous last name. It demands a deep understanding of the complex issues facing urban centers, a willingness to engage with diverse communities, and a commitment to finding practical solutions to intractable problems. Policy in the shadows, vague platforms, and missing details. Cory Bowman's campaign platform, while long on ambition, has been criticized for its lack of concrete policy proposals. His pronouncements on the campaign trail, while often echoing the populist themes that have resonated with a segment of the American electorate, have left many wondering about the specifics of his vision for Cincinnati. Bowman's campaign website, for instance, offers a glimpse into his broad priorities but falls short of providing detailed policy prescriptions. His pledges to address financial corruption and improve basic city services are laudable goals, but lack the specificity needed to inspire confidence among voters hungry for tangible solutions. One area where Bowman has been particularly vocal is in his opposition to sanctuary city policies. Echoing the hardline stance on immigration espoused by his half-brother, Bowman has vowed to make Cincinnati a law and order city. However, his pronouncements on this issue have been light on specifics, leaving many to question how he intends to balance the city's commitment to public safety with its responsibility to protect the rights of all its residents. Bowman's campaign has also been characterized by missed opportunities to engage with the city's diverse communities. His decision to skip a key NAACP debate in favor of meeting with a conservative influencer raised eyebrows and fueled accusations that he is more interested in courting a national audience than in addressing the concerns of Cincinnati's African American community.
North and South, Medley,
Section 5. Cincinnati's Choice, a City. Yearning for change or stability. As Cory Bowman's campaign gathers steam, the city of Cincinnati finds itself at a crossroads. The upcoming mayoral election presents voters with a stark choice: to embrace the promise of change embodied by Bowman or to opt for the steady hand of the incumbent, Aftab Piraval. Bowman's campaign has tapped into a vein of discontent among some residents who feel left behind by the city's progress. His message of change, of shaking up the status quo, has resonated with those who believe that Cincinnati needs a new direction. However, Bowman's promise of change is not without its risks. His lack of experience in government, coupled with his vague policy pronouncements, has raised concerns about his ability to effectively manage a city grappling with complex challenges. Piraval, on the other hand, represents experience and continuity. As the incumbent mayor, he can point to a track record of accomplishments, however modest. His supporters argue that Cincinnati needs a leader who understands the intricacies of city government, not a political novice who may be more interested in grabbing headlines than in governing effectively. The choice facing Cincinnati voters is not simply between two candidates, but between two visions for the city's future. Will they opt for the uncertainty of change or the relative stability of the status quo? The answer to that question will determine the course of Cincinnati politics for years to come. Section 6. The power of a name, political legacy, or burden. Cory Bowman's candidacy raises intriguing questions about the power of a name in politics. Can a surname, already etched in the annals of American politics, serve as a springboard to electoral success, or does it inevitably become a burden, a standard against which all actions are measured? The annals of American history are replete with examples of political dynasties, families whose names have become synonymous with public service. The Kennedys, the Bushes, the Clintons. These names evoke a sense of familiarity, a legacy passed down through generations. Yet for every successful scion of a political dynasty, there are countless others who have stumbled in the shadow of their illustrious relatives. The weight of expectation, the pressure to live up to a family name, can often prove to be insurmountable hurdles. Voters, wary of nepotism and entitlement, may be reluctant to embrace a candidate who seems to be trading on family connections rather than on merit. In Cory Bowman's case, the question of whether his famous last name will prove to be an asset or a liability remains unanswered. His supporters believe that his connection to J.D. Vance, a figure who has captured the imagination of a segment of the American electorate, will translate into votes. However, Bowman's critics argue that his association with Vance could backfire, alienating moderate voters who are turned off by the vice president's brand of populist rhetoric. Only time will tell whether Cory Bowman can emerge from the shadow of his half-brother and forge his own path in the complex world of politics. Section 7. Beyond the ballot, the future of Bowman's political journey. Regardless of the outcome of the upcoming election, Cory Bowman's foray into politics is likely to have lasting implications for both his own trajectory and the political landscape of Cincinnati. Win or lose, Bowman's campaign has exposed a deep well of discontent among a segment of the city's population, a yearning for change and a rejection of the status quo. If Bowman emerges victorious, he will face the daunting task of governing a city grappling with complex challenges, from poverty and crime to crumbling infrastructure and racial inequality. His lack of experience in government and his reliance on populist rhetoric could prove to be major obstacles as he navigates the intricacies of municipal politics. A Bowman victory would also likely embolden other political outsiders, individuals who feel disenfranchised by the established political order. His success could inspire a new generation of candidates to challenge the status quo, injecting a dose of unpredictability into Cincinnati politics. However, if Bowman falls short in his bid for mayor, his political journey may not end there. His campaign has garnered national attention, introducing him to a wider audience and establishing him as a figure of interest within conservative circles. He could leverage this newfound platform to remain active in the political arena, perhaps running for higher office in the future. Section 8, The Vance Connection. A silent endorsement or strategic distance. The specter of J.D. Vance looms large over Cory Bowman's campaign, a silent yet omnipresent force shaping the narrative surrounding his candidacy. While Vance has refrained from formally endorsing his half-brother, his presence is felt in the echoes of his populist rhetoric, in the shared policy positions, and in the national media attention that Bowman's campaign has attracted. Some observers believe that Vance's silence is a calculated strategy, a way to avoid alienating moderate voters who may be turned off by his brand of politics. By maintaining a distance, Vance allows Bowman to carve out his own identity, to present himself as his own man, rather than simply as the vice president's half-brother. Others, however, interpret Vance's silence as tacit approval, a subtle nod of encouragement to his sibling. They point to the similarities in their political views, their shared belief in the power of populism, as evidence that Vance is, at the very least, sympathetic to Bowman's candidacy. Regardless of the motivations behind Vance's silence, his presence is undeniable. His name is invoked on the campaign trail, his book is cited as an inspiration, his political rise serves as a source of hope for Bowman's supporters. The question remains, will the Vance connection prove to be a blessing or a curse for Cory Bowman's political aspirations? Section 9. Cincinnati's Crossroads. A city on the brink of transformation. The upcoming mayoral election in Cincinnati is more than just a contest between two individuals. It is a referendum on the city's soul, a reflection of the hopes and anxieties of a community grappling with change. Cory Bowman's candidacy, with its promise of upheaval and its echoes of a national populist movement, has exposed the fault lines in Cincinnati's social fabric, revealing a city at odds with itself. On one side of the divide are those who believe that Cincinnati is on the wrong track, that the city's progress has come at the expense of its soul. They yearn for a return to a simpler time, a time when their values were reflected in the halls of power. They see in Bowman an outsider, a disruptor, someone who can shake up the status quo and restore Cincinnati to its former glory. On the other side are those who embrace the city's transformation, who celebrate its growing diversity and its embrace of progress. They point to the revitalization of downtown, the influx of new residents and businesses, as evidence that Cincinnati is moving in the right direction. They view Bowman's candidacy with trepidation, fearing that his brand of populism will sow division and stifle the city's progress. The outcome of the election will determine the direction of Cincinnati for years to come. Will the city continue on its current path, embracing change and progress, or will it retreat into the comforting embrace of nostalgia, seeking solace in a bygone era? The answer to that question will resonate far beyond the banks of the Ohio River, serving as a bellwether for the soul of a nation grappling with its own identity.